I'm your host, Nicole Mantilla Parado, and today I have a very special guest for you. She is a visionary in the world of transformation, and her work stands out in its depth and impact. Through her mastery of quantum human design, Akashic record reading, essential oils, and vibrational medicine, she offers a unique and powerful approach to helping people unlock their potential and create profound shifts in their lives. What sets her apart is her ability to see the bigger picture and intuitively guide her clients, whether that's clearing energetic blocks, awakening hidden gifts, or creating a deeper sense of fulfillment. Her approach is designed for those who are ready to evolve and align with their authentic power and selves and step into a whole new level of being. In today's episode, we'll not only dive into how these transformative practices can change your life, but how they have transformed hers. You'll hear about her journey, how she discovered these tools, the inner work that she had to do to hold space, to build a business, and serve her clients, and reflect her soul gifts to the world. I'm so excited to introduce Gru to you. She is a true leader and expert in the art of human potential. Welcome, Gru.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're on here. I want to share how we connected and how we met first. So, interestingly, we both have the same mentor, Tiffany Carroll. Okay, a wonderful woman. You guys can look her up too. But Gru messaged me. She did my abundance portal and she told me her experience. And so once she did that, I was like, who is this woman? I want to look her up. And it's funny because most of her videos were in Norwegian, correct? Like, and I find myself watching them. I'm like literally watching them. I have no idea what she's saying, but I do know what she's saying because I'm reading the energy. And it was funny that I like actually was just on there, like staring and like, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then I messaged her and I'm like, can you make some English videos? Like, I am so magnetically drawn to you and I can feel how special you are, but I don't understand what you're talking about and I want to understand what you're talking about. So that's when our journey started. And once she started doing that, I was like, I want to book a session with you. Will you do human design readings in English? Like, because I saw all her offerings were more when we first looked were more Norwegian based. And so I booked a session with her. And it was funny because I saw all of this stuff in her, and I knew that she had Akashic readings, human design, energy work, and essential oils. And I only got the human design, but I was like, there was a part of me that was like, I wonder what she would prescribe for me for essential oils. I wonder what she would tell me if we tuned into the Akash together, right? So it was I could feel how much wisdom was held in this woman. And I wanted to get her on here today to showcase that to you guys because the human design realm, essential oils, tuning into the Akash, and all the medicine that she has to share will literally unlock so much information for you and wisdom and guidance on your journey.
Oh, and you were the one that made me come out in my English offerings then. So you pushed me, because I needed quite a lot of pushing in the beginning there. Yeah.
I love that. I love how we recognize each other. And guys, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I couldn't understand what she was saying, but I knew she was like soul family and I needed to connect with her.
Mm. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful reading all kinds of languages. Just using the energy and not really needing to understand. That's just beautiful.
Yeah. So I want to talk with your journey with human design. How did you find it? And why did you become so passionate? How did it help you?
Mm. I think like so as many gifts that many of us have, like all of us have gifts, and they're just like so deep down, so hidden, so conditioned that we don't even know that we have them. And I think human design is one of those for me. And it was actually in Essential Oils emotional healing journey that we were introduced to human design. And the teacher was just saying, but just look at your type, don't go into the rabbit hole. She actually almost forbid us to go there because it was so complex. That was not the course, and that was not, you don't need anything else than your type, she said, and strategy. But I'm a 5-1 profile. I have the one. I cannot be forbidden to go into research. And I'm so curious. And it was like and this was like just a free report, automatically written, many pages about the projector type and different things. And I just started crying. When I read the report, I started just crying. And had this compassion. I actually hugged myself and had compassion for myself like I had never had before. And it was like, oh, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. And I didn't even know that I was feeling wrong. But I was holding myself back in all the ways. And that was the first time I sort of recognized that, oh my God, I feel wrong. I am not wrong. I am. First, like a little seed of I am came through in that first human design thing. And it's like when I see charts, I think it was just like a programming chip that just like ding, oh, this, I know this language, I know this. It was not complex for me at all. Yes, I've studied, and yes, but everything just clicks. I don't need to use lots of time to understand or remember anything. When I see a chart, I see, like you read the energy. I just read also the human chart like an energy map and see the whole of the chart. Because it is complex, but it's a whole. Like we are a whole. We're not like different parts put together like many things. Like this is a heart. Everything is together, and it works together. Yeah.
So when you see the chart and the diagrams, because it's like it almost looks like geometry symbols, right? Like the way it is.
Yeah.
It just unlocks more intuitive information for you. It's like the point that when you have the person in front of you, you can just intuitively start telling them more.
Yeah, and the whole, like, it can be very heady. Like it's very intellectual, and it's like fits me very well because in my journey I've had to sort of understand it and then integrate it down into body. But many other people kind of more have it in the body and feeling and then needs to understand it. Here we are different, and it depends on many different things. But I needed to understand it and then find ways to integrate it, because human design in and of itself does not necessarily create transformation, because it doesn't help you to unlock fears, find your courage, self-trust, and heal things. You need other energetic tools to do that. So here comes the essential oils, and your sound, vibrational, there's so many modalities, and it's just like to find the ways that flow like you like, and that it feels joyful, because it's not supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be an adventure, but you meet challenges. But when you are on a fun, adventurous journey, it's like, oops, a mountain we need to climb. All right. Instead of, oh, this is hard. It's like totally different attitude to go into the process.
So the essential oils helped you. I want to rewind a little bit because in your chart, you said you started crying and wanted to hug yourself. What was it that you read about yourself that hit home when you saw it in your chart that you identified with and you were like, oh my God?
Yeah. Well, I'm a projector, and I have a lot of open centers in my chart. So I was totally burned out in 2014, like mentally, spiritually, emotionally, I was all out. And just like getting the confirmation that I don't have the sacral, I'm not supposed to be working in the same way. I see things differently and that's where I probably always felt wrong, because I have this futuristic, and I see potentials and possibilities that people sort of, oh my God. I have the freak to genius channel from my ajna down to my throat, and that means that it's very projected. I need to be invited, like into your podcast, to actually speak my truth. Otherwise, people might not be interested, ready, understanding, and then it's just like talking to a wall. And when you do that, your whole upbringing, and people like you don't know it, because that's what's happened when you don't know your human design. You sort of just act on all those conditioned ways of behavior, expectations, and we work. Yeah, the system works its own way, which isn't necessarily our true self or essence, and how we learn to be, and ancestrals, and all the conditioning. But when you start to understand and you decondition, that's actually how I see the human design map. It's a way of, oh, that isn't me. Oh, that's not me. That's not me. This is me. So it can actually come from another place, and we can see it. And it's a deep, deep remembrance, actually, process that happening.
So what does that mean when you don't have, so our viewers can understand, when you don't have a sacral
Yeah,
center? Yeah.
that's the chart is built up of 9 energy centers, and it's actually the same as the 9 chakras if you're more used to that. And the sacral is the next lowest point, like there's a square in your chart, and it's like, if you have that defined, you are a generator type or a manifesting generator, like you are. And that means that you are like, you always have this fuel. You can drive your own fuel because you get lit up. If you do, I mean, you can also get burned out, but if you do the things that light you up, it's like that fuels your own energy, or you have a motor. That's a motor kind of thing. And I don't have any motor. It's 4 like these centers that kind of runs energy in a way. And the sacral is the main one that just gives you the fuel that you need when you can fuel yourself, kind of. I cannot do that in the same way.
So
But when I'm having it undefined, I take in other people's sacral energy, and I think it's mine. So when I was working in an office, I was the one that was running to the copy machine, and I was the one that was the most busy and most hardworking thing, because I was running in all the other people's fuel, not knowing it. And when I came home, I was like, I was exhausted, and I didn't understand why.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's huge for people to learn. So now that you have the awareness of that, what were the tools? Let's talk about the essential oils and the tools that you needed to use because of the way that you operate in that way to create at the level that you do. Because to build a business, you have a business, you have clients, you have services. That takes activating that creative sacral energy in different ways and surrounding yourself probably in community to be able to do that. So share with me how you remedied that and explored that. I'm sure it's still a work in progress because we're all always a work in progress.
Yeah. Um, I needed to heal my nervous system first and foremost. I
Yeah.
mean, that was, um, yeah, that's kind of probably been the biggest part of it. And here is the essential oils, like frankincense has been my biggest healer of my emotional, like my nervous system, I think, in the beginning at least. And I'm just like allowing myself and knowing, as a projector, I need alone time to sort of discharge everyone else's energy and just be in my own energy. And there's lots of tools to do that as well. But like just knowing and allowing myself to do that. But that's, here comes. And I think you tapped into it. It's so easy to say, you just need to take time alone. You just need to do this. You just need to unleash your courage. You just, and there's so many reasons we don't.
Right.
It's deep healing work. So I grew up with a narcissistic mom, and I've had parents that have like argued very much. So my nervous system was like, a traffic light has red, orange, and green. I didn't know there was a green.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I was red and orange like for my first 30 years almost. It was like, and then suddenly like, oh, when you tap in and you actually feel the green, it's like, oh my God, this I like, this I
Yeah.
like. I want more of that. And that's kind of how we can begin to tap into it. Then we explore, and I started to become a yoga teacher, children's yoga teacher, meditation, and I kind of, that's the path in, because I actually saw, that's how it started. I saw a woman and I could just see her calm. I could see
Mhm.
the green light in her. She was just like walking so gracefully, so peacefully. And I saw the peace in the whole aura and energy of her. And I was just standing, and she came out from a yoga studio with a yoga mat. It was long before my own awareness. And I said, oh, I need to start to do yoga, because that's what happens when you go to yoga, and of course, then you start. It's just to start there. And then as the one profile, I don't just go to a yoga course. I do 4 yoga teacher trainings.
Yeah, because you love learning. You love the
Uh,
intellect. Right.
yeah, yeah,
But it's important, and this message is coming through, is like for everyone, but also for Gru, it's like we can learn and we can feed the intellect, but at some point it needs to integrate so you can use it and repackage it in your own authentic voice and teach it in your own unique way. So it's just like you're feeding the body nutrients. The nutrients for you is to feed the intellect the information, but you're going to have to assimilate it, and you're going to have to put it together, or you're not going to lead a fulfilling life. Then you'll be stuck with just like massive consumption, but lack of action towards your purpose and what you're here to do. So it's really important for all of you that think that you need to have all the credentials and learn to integrate and put it to use and show up. I mean, learning, I never stop learning. I love learning too. But I notice that, for me, I have to take breaks from time to time too, because I can burn out if I'm feeding myself so much information. Do you
yeah.
get that way too?
Absolutely. And that's also cool, because this is also where we can use the human design. I'm studying a new modality now, a new way of putting the chart
Mhm.
together for business to create a aligned business. And in the moon, there are cycles. We have like in your moon placement and everything, in my moon and line, and we can read what kind of cycles we have, because the full moon, the new moon, it's a rebirth, it's a death, it's a new beginning, it's letting go, and it's always cycles. And we have that in our businesses, in our creative life, and everything as well. And mine is, I need to create. I need to create, and also like experiment and take in and learn. But I need to create. Otherwise, it, as you said, it just
Right,
gets stagnant and stuck,
right.
and it disrupts the cycle for me.
So what do you use to ground yourself? How did you ground yourself and start to heal the nervous system? Share some tools, because that I think is what awakens so much more of our powers when we start from the base up. And so often people are like, I want to tap into the higher realms and the Akash, and we'll get to the Akash. But it's like you got to start with a foundation first. You got to heal and create the space to receive more of you and more information. So what tools did you use to really get results for your design type?
Yeah, the essential oils. That is my tool number one, like aroma point therapy, like I learned from Tiffany Carroll.
Mhm.
Um, it's, I mean, there's nothing like it for me. They can just take you in, like they go directly to the limbic brain. It goes past this thinking, rational, like logic, trying to figure everything out. It just goes straight in there and turn off the fight flight response, and it just calms down the whole thing. in minutes. Like, yeah. So that's my tool number one, essential oils. Whatever it, yeah, always.
I
Always.
love that. I love that you said frankincense too, because that was the first one I started working with while I was doing my yoga teacher training too. Frankincense was my go-to when I was healing from my divorce. So, yeah, where do you like to put frankincense if to the viewers? Yeah.
Yeah, when I started with the oils, it was through doTERRA. I started with that, and then I was taught in that emotional healing thing to take it under the tongue because then it goes straight. But I know there's a very diverse. Some people do not want to take it internally, and
Yeah.
other will. But I did, and I'm not kidding you. I just not many weeks I could feel difference in my nervous system. I felt like I was like, this jellyfish, the fiery jellyfish with like arms all over the place.
Yeah.
And that was my nervous system. It felt like it was like a big electric aura outside of my skin. And when I started using frankincense underneath my tongue, it was like it took all of these feelers and stuffed them underneath my skin again so I could actually wrap myself and hold myself, and it built
Mhm.
thicker skin. And I've had atopic eczema as well, and the skin is different. It healed my skin. I was going around with fingers like cracked fingers, but I don't have those cracks anymore at all. So it heals a lot of things. It goes straight into this. I see it as what's the English word? This man that goes around and repairs everything that's broken in the buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see frankincense like, going into all of these different chambers in the body and the cells and the organs, and just,
Yeah.
something wrong here. I need to fix, and I need to fix this. And then he travels around the whole system, and he just fixes everything that needs to be fixed. That's my
Yeah.
frankincense.
No, for me, it felt like it was wiping away all the illusions and helped me tap more into my truth. And it was
Yeah.
helping me dispel energies that weren't mine so I could feel more intact and more embodied. So that, and I played with different strains, but my favorite one was Boswellia sacra. I don't know if you've ever used the sacred frankincense, Boswellia sacra, but there's something about that that just grounds me so into my body and connects me. Like I feel fully charged, but like you said, like I'm not out here, like I'm like, it's like boom, like a pillar, right? I guess you would say a grounded pillar of power. It has a way of doing that.
Yeah. And when you use it on acupoint, like acupuncture, like the third eye, is really, really powerful to sort of dismantle the limits of time and space. You can time travel with frankincense. You kind of sort of, if we have, and the lack mentality and loss. Yeah, there's so many things, so many things. Like we often get restricted, like by the time. Oh, I'm like, I just have this time, but we can create time. We can create time in another way. And frankincense helps us to tap into that potential when you use it on the third eye or the crown also. Yeah.
That's beautiful. So I want to take an integration break and co-create some magic. And so first, I got to tell you guys this. I got to read this to you because I wrote it out. So while I was preparing for this podcast, a sea turtle kept coming up. And everybody who follows me knows that I work with spirit animals as guides, and they're always bringing in messages. And so two essential oils came through and this sea turtle. So I want to read you the message of the sea turtle before we go on with talking as part of the integration, because I think this will be so valuable for us, okay? So, in many spiritual traditions, the sea turtle symbolizes wisdom, endurance, and the journey of life. It's a reminder that transformation is not something that happens overnight, but through steady, consistent progress. Just like a sea turtle navigates the vast ocean with calm, grounded presence, so too do we navigate our own journeys of growth and transformation. So this can be more aligned with today's conversation because we're diving into tools that help you unlock your potential and do the inner work. And so the sea turtle teaches us patience, trust, and the importance of staying connected to the earth and our spiritual selves as we evolve. So I thought that this was a perfect way to, really dive even deeper after we do this little practice into the human design, Akashic records, and real transformation. Isn't that cool, Gru? What do you think of that? Like the sea turtle is just so perfect. And like you can't make this shit up.
I know, I know. I have a turtle over there, and which I bought in Sri Lanka, like a small thing. And I did the Dream Arc journey with Richard Rudd. I don't know if you know that. It's Gene Key's, yeah, human design
Yeah.
thing. Um, and I actually had the turtle as a spirit animal in one of those journeys.
Okay, so see, this was coming through for you completely because as I was writing your bio and introduction, I kept seeing the sea turtle. And they're like, you need to talk and you need to share the sea turtle with everyone in Gru because it's so important because it's about patience and being
Yeah.
grounded and calm through the process of your evolution and not rushing it and knowing that it's all in divine timing. And I think that's a big theme for you. And I think it's a big theme for all of our listeners and this world because we want instant gratification. And that's not what this
Yeah.
is about.
That's what I was starting to say with the human design. It can be very intellectual, but it's not working. I mean, it doesn't help to have the most beautiful roadmap if you don't actually go on the journey. You need to go on the journey and follow the roads, and you will meet mountains and all the things. But when you have a map, like human design is a navigation tool. I see it as it is a brilliant GPS, like a navigation tool to actually find out what my soul essence, what's my soul journey, what's my purpose, North Star, North Node purpose, which is how I am, how to be me. Not anything, it's nothing about doing, it's all about being and using my energy so it actually flows and I have the vitality, the joy, and all of the things. And we do meet challenges, but it's not meant to be struggles. When we struggle, we're stuck. If we stay there, struggle is hard work and the old limiting beliefs that we're not taking with us into this new way of consciously creating our lives. It can be joyful, it can be challenging, it can be uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to be a struggle or hard work.
Yeah. And I love that because you're providing outcomes for people because you know that the human design isn't going to do it for itself. So you're weaving this holy toolkit that you call that you have, right? To help people once they get the information, use the oils, do the energy work, do the movement, anything that needs to happen that is customized to that person's soul's essence you can put
Yeah.
together packages to advance them. So not only do you have the informations, now you have the action plan of what you're actually going to do to transform. And so
Yeah.
that's what's so key. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I never know when people book a session or they book a coaching or whatever they know book when I get new clients, I don't know where they are in their own personal development journey before I actually meet them. But when we meet, it's like I have also taken biodynamic touch level 1 and level 2 education,
Mhm.
which is a blending of craniosacral healing and symbolic and archetypal psychology, language kind of way. I just love everything that has to do with archetypal. It's a very good way for me to understand like this integration thing. But anyway, so when I meet people, it's like creating a space with awareness and having an open mind. Like that was the first thing that I learned from this. It's also a magical mentor teacher like Tiffany Carroll, as you mentioned, Sean Manuel. And he said, uh, put everything you know, like 99%, everything of the knowledge, because I was like so heady and studying and so much knowledge, put it in the drawer. Just put it in the drawer,
Yep.
because you only know 1% and the rest is unknown. And when we can meet people in that space, we allow change to happen, but we don't, and we don't force people to change. We don't have expectations for them to change, because we all have to change in our own divine timing.
Right.
And we change when the space is safe, when we feel safe on the inside and outside, and it's held space, sacred space, to actually be just as we are. That's perfect. I'm worthy just as I am. And I want to evolve and I want to change, but I don't have to. I don't have to.
Exactly. That's that's important. And
That's
so
really
I,
important. That's what changed me. That's when I started to heal and transform. When all the expectations, all the pressure, everything, like all the expectation I put on myself and I was conditioned to put on myself, when all of those were taken away, I could actually start to blossom and heal and create my life and my business and all the things. Yeah.
and I think that the essential oils are perfect allies to create that space for us to have such a nourishing shift. And that brings in why I was called to have geranium and jasmine, geranium rose and jasmine next to me today. And for us to guide everyone into a practice. Now, listen, you don't have to have these oils to receive the benefits of this transmission, because you will still receive it. But if you decide to watch this again, try it with the oils, even if you decide to purchase it. Because what will come through us, I'm sure, will be magical, because the oils speak through both of us, and we've used them to transform our hearts, to open our hearts, to heal mother wounds, which we all have, and we can talk more about that after. Um, and to just connect deeper to our authentic selves, our true essence. And that's our true vibratory signature. And that's what I love about the oils. So, what do you say? You want to co create something magical together?
Love these oils. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you start, because I feel like it's your time to shine, especially with how these want to be placed around mother issues. So just let's let it come through the way that it wants to, and when you feel like passing it back to me, we'll just weave back and forth. Sounds good?
Mm.
Okay,
Mhm.
beautiful.
Jasmine is the restorer of trust. And when we start trusting ourselves, like trusting our own timing, trusting our own intuition, trusting our own needs, and that we're actually allowed to have needs, and trust that the needs can actually be given and received, like receiving what we need. That's also when we start ground and deeply relax in our being and trust ourselves.
Mm.
And I've used jasmine so much on the pericardium, like pericardium 6 or 7. It's on the midline of the wrist. So either like up here or there, it doesn't really matter which one. And you can just put some jasmine here and
Okay,
put your hands together.
let's do it, girl.
Huh?
Let's do it.
I wasn't prepared. I didn't know this was coming. Nicole, but let's do it. And then just rest your hands
Mm.
however you feel comfortable in resting. And the pericardium is like, it's like, oh, what's the English word again? It's like Um, you know the princesses in all the fairy tales that lives in a castle, and around the castle there is this, what's it called?
A
What's it
moat?
called?
Like the moat around the castle? Is it?
Yeah, the protection sort of around the
Okay.
castle. The pericardium is like the sac. It protects the heart. So it is like the protection of the big castle. And it's the protector of the heart, this pericardium. And this is where all the arrows come and all the scarring and all. This takes the battle. This takes all the hard hits and woundings. And there's a lot of scar tissue in our pericardium. So when we put jasmine, to the restorer of trust, on this pericardium meridian, just gently reminds us that we are safe and we can trust again. We are protected by something bigger than ourselves. We're always taken care of. And we can actually relax and let go of the control and breathe.
Beautiful.
And
I'm
just
gonna
let
add.
it.
Sorry, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, come on.
I'm going to add to that. So, as you're holding your wrists together, go ahead and join the thumb and the index finger and keep all the other hands out so that the thumb goes on top of the index finger nail bed. Just like
Mm.
that. Hold it, extend all the other fingers, and we're going to bring in a violet light, this transmutation of the heaviness and the shields around your heart. And for women, this is coming up the way that you can demasculinize people when you have mother wounds, when you're not fully healed and loving yourself and embracing your divine nature and your sensual and sexual energy, where you feel like boundaries have been crossed, where you feel like your energy has been siphoned. You start to develop a harsh shell around the heart. And we want to really bring in this magic of jasmine to prepare for geranium, which is a restorer and opening of the heart. But let's work on these shields right now. And just let that violet light come in and set the intention. Everybody set your own personal intention for whatever is coming up for you right now. I'll pass that back to you, Gru. And you guys, if you're ready to release your wrist, you can start to inhale the sun as Gru guides us.
Mm. Yeah, the mother, the geranium. If you haven't smelled geranium before, and if you have not worked with mother wound, you might not like the smell of it. The first time I smelled geranium, it was like I almost puked. I felt I did not like it at all. And when I read about the emotional and the inner nature of geranium, I blamed my mother. I blamed her. So I was in such a victim mentality. I was not taking responsibility for my own kind of healing journey. I was blaming my mother, and I hated geranium. So that was the start of my geranium journey. Now I love it. But if you don't like it, don't force it, because the mother one is deep and it's nothing we are forced. We're not like forcing ourselves to heal.
Right.
We are gently waking,
Unraveling.
awakening, unraveling, and trust the timing. It has taken me a while. It's taken me a lot of different modalities and different, not just specifically working on that, but it's been the underlying root cause all the time. So
I
just
gotta
be
say
aware.
something, Rue. I
Yeah.
like this is hilarious because jasmine was the one that I was resistant to. I spent so much money on the jasmine because I have the jasmine Sablon, and I'm like, I get it, and I'm like, oh my God, this is disgusting. Like, I don't like what? What is this? Like, it was. I was so repelled by it because it was the
Me too.
medicine that I needed to move through my barriers and my resistance. So it's so funny how we have that egoic protection and defense mechanisms that show up when we know that this vibration and this scent can actually start to chisel out the walls and the layers and the stories that no longer serve us.
Yeah. But I just feel it's so important that we just, when we worked on the trust and trusting ourselves and trusting
Yeah.
our like signals, to actually listen to them as well and not force the medicine
Right,
on us, even though we know it's good, but the
right.
body is very saying no, thank you. But we can work with it without like forcing and putting it on the body. We can just smell it, like just gently tap it on the nose and just put it on the shelf, like somewhere in the house where you go around it and just put it. And every time you make a choice, conscious choice, all right, I'm going to go over there and say hello. And then you go to the oil,
Yeah.
you smell it. Still not liking it. All right, I'm letting you stay there for a while. And then you just go around and you play with that, like playfully, like you're integrating or getting
Yeah.
closer to it. And as we sort of get, and when you dilute it, so it's not pure, it also helps. It's not so strong
Mhm.
smell. And then we can use it on points like on the foot arch, for instance. There's spleen. There's so many potent points there for hormonal balance and sugar cravings and blah, 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 all of the physical things. But we're talking about the mother wound now.
Yeah, I'll
More,
let you go back to the geranium. I took us on a tangent, but I wanted to speak to the resistance of the smell and the oils.
it's important. It's important. It's really important. But then, and there's so many ways of, but I have this point that I really love. I haven't really used geranium specifically on it, but the belly button, the CVA, the belly button,
Yeah, let's do
that
it.
is where we had got our first nourishment from our mother in the wound. It's such a
Mhm.
potent point to work on nourishment.
Mm.
So this is where you're going now. Just take a little drop and then hold lightly over the belly button. Don't stick it in. Don't pour drops of oil in there. Just hold the finger lightly. So aroma point therapy is just like a light touch above acupuncture point. And it is actually the vibration of the oil and the vibration of the meridian that starts to play music. So that's when we get into the emotional and mental and energetic realm instead of just the physical body. That's when we press and acupoint press, then we go more into the physical muscles, the tissue and things. But when we hold lightly and let the energy and the vibration work, it creates a different healing modality. This point and geranium can really recalibrate the way that we receive nourishment and replenish and regenerate and take care of ourselves.
I feel the presence of Mother Mary coming in.
Mm.
These beautiful pale pink roses placed around your belly. Just use your imagination and visualize these beautiful pale pink roses, even going through the belly button into the womb space to absorb your pain and suffering. Let the rose petals alchemize the motherhood wounds or the mothering wounds that you carry. Because it's not just motherhood wounds, it's mothering wounds as well.
Mm.
And it's really important to speak to the mothering wounds. Whether your challenges with mothering your own children or never having a child this lifetime, we carry a lot in this womb space.
Mm.
And I'll pass that over to you,
Mm.
Gru.
Yeah. Actually feel like smelling it now, just releasing the point and smell the oil.
Mm. Ah, it's like heaven. Ah, with jasmine mixed, it's like, ah, bliss. Mm.
Yeah. When you said that mothering wound, because having a mother wound, deeply mother wound, trying to heal that for many years, it creates mothering wounds as well. And like having guilt for not feeling present and being burned out and all of the things. But the children, I mean, I've said that from the beginning, that the children, they are like my thermostat kind of thing. You know, when they are or lashing out or anything, and we tend as parents to sort of put that down instead of turning that as the mirror on ourselves, like, oh, what's happening in me? Why am I, and according to human design, I have a completely open root center. So it's no active, like it's all open. And children from they're very small, they connect through the root of the mother. And if I'm not grounded, if I'm stressed, I'm taking in all the adrenaline and stress from the world around me, and I'm not in my body, the children don't have any place to kind of ground
Mhm.
into energetically into the mother. So it's like, oh, that also an awareness with human design and then oils and really tending to that root chakra and the grounding practices. And I was doing it for many years. I was doing it for my kids almost more than I was doing it for myself. And then, but I can't totally heal my mothering wound before I've healed my own mother wound. So they're so intertwined.
So interconnected.
Yeah,
And if we don't do this work as mothers,
yeah.
then we're just passing it down and passing it down. And so many of us, if you're probably listening to this podcast, you're probably a cycle breaker and you know that you're here to break cycles so your children can be free and do what they came here to do. And you're on this transformational journey to hold space because our children, those of us that are into this stuff, our children are next level beings and we have to be responsible and do the work to hold the space for them. They're sacred mirrors for our consciousness, and they will showcase what's not healed within you. They will trigger what's not healed within you. So if you always have the kid that's like, every time you're trying to do work, every time you're trying to get on the phone, they're like, Mom, Mom, and like all over the place, take a pause and not just give them food or a television show or something or bribe them with. Take a pause and be present with them because they need your attention. They need to feel stable. And that will help you create at such a higher potential. Gru, how old are your kids now?
12 and 15.
Okay. Yeah. I have a
Yeah.
16-year-old and oh my God, my son just turned 20. So, I've been on this journey with them for a while and they have been my greatest teachers. And so I want to take this because I know we've been on for a while and I have so many points I want to get across is that when you're building a business, when you're building a business, these motherhood wounds and mothering wounds are essential to heal because burnout, lack of feeling worthy, not giving yourself the space to honor your desires and have pleasure, feel like you're being pulled in all these different directions, it's going to drain the potency of what you're creating and the magnetism around your business.
Yeah.
Let you speak to this, Gru, too, like your experience, because you've obviously anybody who's had to create a business and services has to do tremendous healing work before they, are holding space for clients.
Yeah. And that was my biggest concern actually when I was that kind of stopped me in the track in the beginning because I didn't want to be like my mother that was never at home, always tired, and it was like I didn't I did not have the presence like that you were talking about because of she was ambitious and doing the work and being out there, and she was all like out there and not present back home. And I was just like, so this is not what I'm doing. And I couldn't see in the beginning that I could create a fulfilling business and a fulfilling mother at the same time because I had never seen that. I
Yeah.
didn't know that that was a possibility. So that's been my biggest goal and vision all the time. I don't want to, because I do get very engaged and enthusiastic, and then absolutely can draw out like in the heat, like the business, and then forget I don't have the space and time for the other things. And I was like, that's not going to happen. So I was holding back in everything for a while, and then the healing work starting, and then I really want everything to be integrated. I don't have all the time I need. I want everything to grow simultaneously. I
Right.
want to like have my kids on board, my husband on board, and the business on board at the same time, not just focusing on one thing and forgetting about the rest.
And it's so important because we're creating these soul-led businesses to give us not life force, not to drain us.
Yeah.
It's because it should be adding to the whole family. You're creating it so you can have freedom of lifestyle, to spend more time with the kids, to honor their needs. I mean, I think this is why so many of us mothers who go and be entrepreneurs, this is our vision of freedom and life giving. But see, when you have the motherhood wounds and mothering wounds, it distorts the vision. And guess what? You start mothering your clients in a way that it's not healthy. It's not healthy. And then you don't get the results and the outcome. And then you burn out because you took your distortions into your relationship with the clients because you have not healed that. So
And or
important to
you
say.
just continue in the same patterns even though you're in the healing realm. You could just as much as been in the old job, but you're still doing it in the same way. And that's the
Right.
whole point. We have to live and create and use our energy and use our gifts completely different than what we see out there in the yeah.
So now that everyone is probably like identifying, like, yes, this is like a really a huge struggle. Like, I think being a mother is one of the most challenging things I've ever done. To me, it's more challenging um, than building a business. Like, that's me personally. Like, because with my business I can say what when I want to give it attention or not. With my kids, like I have to be there. I have to be on. I have to always be their person.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Um, I don't know if I can say this or that because I've been so conscious of it, but taken it simultaneously. So I've never sort of just done one or the other. But of
Yeah.
course, there are different ways. And as you said, the children are our biggest karmic mirrors and the healers. And it's just like when things are not working or they reflect it back at once. But also when we heal, when we actually heal these mother wounds, it doesn't take them 10 years to restore what's broken or what maybe not was working in the beginning. They just sort of attune to the, oh, this is the new frequency. Oh, this is how it, all right. And ding, 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 ding. And
It's
then they're there.
crazy how that works.
That's so magical. And that's
It's
like,
magical.
that's like, okay, the last 3 years, worth it, totally worth it. I'll do that again. You know, if this helps, saves them for
That
so
is
much pain and struggle.
That is
Yeah.
such an important thing what you said because like the inner work that you do, you will see instant results in them. It's like something just automatically clears because they're so connected to you and that energetic imprint dissolves, it alchemizes and they start acting differently and you'll just be like that's when you start seeing quantum leaps in your reality because all that inner work changed your outer world and the dynamics in your family.
And this is, I think, in my opinion, it's because truth has the most powerful frequency. And the children, they don't know consciously or intellectually what's going on, but they feel the truth in the authentic being that we are, do like, even though it's not perfect, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just like, you have this heartfelt, the energy comes from somewhere else when you've cleared and when you healed and you stop doing the limiting belief things and all the old pattern, and it really comes like a sincere wanting movement, love, another way of doing things. And it's just like, all right, they take it imperfect, like whatever, the frequency of truth hits them. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I really, really does not have to be perfect, just truth.
And so I know recently you had an epiphany with
Mhm.
healing some mothering wounds. Um, and I just want to say before you share a little bit about that, that like this jasmine and geranium and rose, guys, these are literally allies on your journey of motherhood and mothering in general, healing and opening your heart to like literally receive the guidance to do the work in such a loving, soft, compassionate way where it's more about rejuvenation and replenishment instead of like battling your healing. I don't like that. And that's what I love about the oils. Like, so many people are like, I'm going to do this work. It's like, no, like, I'm going to love myself and I'm going to love the parts that need to be seen and alchemized. We're not in battle. We're not in conflict with ourselves. We're not here to like excavate and like slay. And that's such an old paradigm of consciousness and why I think it just facilitates more nervous system regulation when you think you're at war with everything. Let's bring in more love and compassion to grow and transform.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. The oils lay the ground. I mean, that's the soil. That's what creates this fertile soil for the true seeds to actually blossom and flower and become like that's my saying. Who are you becoming? Because it is, as you also say, it's a process and it needs time. And it's we don't stand on the ground and force a flower to grow. I mean, it happens when everything is ready, and that's what it happens as well. Like, I don't know what you want me or where to even begin in it. And I feel, to be really honest, I feel like a newborn baby, like really like vulnerable. And I just feel like this, I feel like this little seedling coming up from the ground, totally new. I am totally new from just like 2 weeks, so I'm still integrating, Nicole.
So
So it's like,
beautiful.
yeah, this, I like before this epiphany, what you call it, this thing, I'll come back to it. I would never show up in this vulnerable state. I would be in my strength, my power, my like having my humanness, everything. And today I didn't know what you were talking about. I didn't know I was just like showing up, and I felt the calling, like we've talked about. But I'm really, really raw, integrating in my just coming out of a big, big, big transformational leap, and then finding a new way of connecting and relating and being in this new. It's like I don't have the suit anymore. I don't have the
Yeah.
armor anymore. It was the armor that fell off.
That's so beautiful. And I just think it's so aligned that you had this massive experience. And then here's the podcast for you to share this new version of you and speak in ways that you've never spoken before, but also to remind everyone that it's okay to be raw and vulnerable. And we all sometimes start again as a new seedling, right? That has to have a beginner's mind and has to literally learn how to move forward in a new operating system. And I think that's so beautiful because you're now operating a new, and it's funny, this is coming through. It's like a new design for you that goes
Yeah, it's
beyond what you've ever could imagine. Like you've unlocked your soul blueprint in a way where you're going to access your own wisdom and your own knowledge and your devotion, like your years of devotion and dedication to this work, to this craft, to learning. It's like you're going to reap all the benefits now. So, congratulations. Like, I feel that so much for you. So much for
yeah.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel it too. It's like, as you said, it's a totally new operating. Like this is the soul actually unleashed from its
Yes.
dungeon. Actually, I was hiding so deep down in whatever, and I'd had this huge operating system that had learned how to be safe and how to behave and how to meet expectations and adapt to all the surroundings. That's what we call people pleasing. That's what we call codependency. That's what we call have all these fancy names in the healing realm. And but that's like we all are systems. We have adapted ways of behaving from our upbringing, from our parents, from their ancestral woundings, like we've been tapping into. And as I said in the beginning, my mother was a narcissist. She had heard very, almost said a word I'm not supposed to be saying, but really not working system. And her system fed and learned my system, and that's just going on until we sort of I'm not taking that anymore. I'm saying no to that system. But
Right?
it really needed a really, really safe space to be able to, because it was a total breakdown, total massive breakdown of that system to be able to, and like pulling it out like a bat or a dragon. It was
Yeah.
like a I don't know. It's very hard to explain, but it's or even imagine. Um,
I can see
and
it.
then
It's like
come
a
this sort of
collapse. It's literally,
yeah,
it collapsed. It just like boom, like so abrupt too. It was like it
yeah,
collapsed. But I want to
yeah.
reflect something energetically because, like, these podcasts, I like to, throughout the session, just like weave stuff to support you to move forward of what I see and take what resonates and leave what doesn't. It wasn't necessarily the modality that you did that made it collapse abrupt. It was just like the cherry on top. It's like you've been doing years of work, and this was just like the cherry on top to make it go boom. So this is why it's so important that you create offerings and move forward in your business, weaving the holy toolkit that you have. And that was coming through for you, is it's time for you to repackage and rebuild and rebrand your business from this new state of being, and not just limiting yourself to, because you're limiting your clients if you're like, oh, it's just the human design. No, because your soul can't do that anymore. Like you're a soul, these are soul activating blueprints that you're activating, and you have the gifts to help people collapse the time and space to get them where they want to be. And your offerings literally are going to now have to represent this new being of you and all the knowledge and wisdom that you've accumulated, learned, and studied, right? And packaged in a way that people know that their multidimensionalness, their multifaceted parts of them are being heard and seen and tended to with a variety of things. And how you can do this is you can have intake forms. You can have intake forms of what would be the best, like you could have names of different offerings, but you could have an intake form asking people questions and then getting back to them on what's most aligned for them. And then you also are interviewing, because you get to choose who you want to work with. And I think you're at that level where the questions in the interview process will help you serve for the transformation, like the outcome of the transformation. Because we both know that there's only so much one session can do. There's only so much,
The work happens in between.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I felt really called to share that with you today, that it's it's your time. How does
Mhm.
that land for you?
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, yeah, the pearl polisher journey that I have is kind of like it
Mhm.
is that kind of journey with an intake form, but I still sort of hang a lot of the human design because I just love the human design. But
Yeah.
it's the sessions always. I'm never like what you say, true to one system. I'm not loyal to one system.
Yeah.
It's like what comes through, and what's needed. And if it's embodiment practices or somatic practices or meditations or visualizations or oils or whatever, that's what's happening.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
because that's what people need to know about you, that if they book a session with you, that you are going to access more than just the human design. Like
Yeah.
because I remember what I felt when I was in session. I was like, she has so many gifts. Like,
Mm.
I want, even if somebody doesn't want to do like the Pearl Journey, which is what, like 10 sessions, right? That's a 10 session thing that's deeper. They want like 2 to 3 sessions and like guidance and a protocol to use to integrate those sessions. I think there's something new that wants to be birthed from you through this new collapse of energy. And Spirit just wants you to be open to reformulating that, because people need the human design from you. Yes, 100%, because that's a gift of yours. But the Akashic readings are very, very powerful, and they need to go hand in hand. And same thing with the oils in this. Like, it's a whole protocol and a tool to advance people and to activate them to a whole new level. And it's almost like that could even be a precursor for people before they even go on the Pearl journey. Do you
Yeah.
know, to get them ready and in your world. So you guys, Gru has so much wisdom and so much magic that they all want to be woven in a whole new way. And I'm really excited to see what you build with this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Let's see what's coming through. I'll sit with it and I'll see where the creation process takes me to
Yeah.
get it out yeah, to see it.
And another thing that's coming through too is like it's not just it's for business owners and entrepreneurs, your work. Like your soul wants you to attract more people that are building businesses, that are moms, that are doing the whole thing. It's in this whole energy that your niche becomes using this for, moms and entrepreneurs building a business, leading and living in their soul gifts and enhancing their facilitation style and finding their authentic power. So as you literally do this on your journey and you go through, I feel like you're going to be going through a rebrand. You're going to be going through a rebrand and a rebuilding in your business and in your life, your personal life, that you're going to guide people to do the same. And that's what our lineage is. And when I say our lineage, I mean that we're soul family. And it might seem that like what some of the things I'm saying I do and what our mentor Tiffany Carroll does, you know what I mean? It's all part of the same lineage and vision of helping people create wealth and pleasure and prosperity, doing what they love and having more freedom and living in their soul's essence. And there's many different ways to get there. And you just have to find the people that resonate. So me having Gru here today, I'm putting her and I'm showcasing her. If you feel called to her energy, if you feel called to get a human design reading or an Akashic reading, or maybe when it's time and she has these new brands and offerings out, follow her. Follow her on Instagram. Follow her on her website. Check her out. Send her a message because it's valuable. I even had a session with her and I loved it. So, do you have anything else you want to add, Gru?
Mm. No, I really feel it's really important what you said, follow what feels true and really, and also take the leap, sort of really, if you feel called, do it. And just like, even though you don't know why, it doesn't have to be rational. That's the whole thing with intuition. It doesn't have to be logic or anything. You just feel the calling and do it, because that's what I've been doing all the time. I've been on the most epic journey. Like God, I've signed up to courses and readings and retreats and teachings and studies that I didn't know was taking me, but it always opens the next door and the next door, and that's the process. And that's when you find the joy of transformation and learning to love the process, not like having the end goal. You just go where the lights up. This is my journey.
Oh my God, you just opened up a whole topic that we can't get off the podcast without saying. And that is investing in yourself. Because I know you and I have made huge leaps with huge amounts of money investing in ourselves. And people would think we were crazy for the amount of money we've spent in personal growth and learning new skills. But can you speak about that? Because my viewers know my journey, but like
Yeah.
share what that feels like to invest and why it's game changing. Because I believe it was game changing. For me to spend that kind of money.
First time like, you blow the limit a few times and you think you've blown it and then you really blow it. But and like I had a really generational healing with my father, like in this, yeah, I had to ask him for a loan for one of the first things that I was doing. And then I knew that if I was going to try to, and then I was in the old system and I almost got into the manipulative thing that to say that if I had cancer and I would die, you would just pour so much money to heal me in the hospital. But this is the same, like this is for me, it's healing my heart and my like, and I was almost going there and I said, no, that's not the energy. I don't want to like that's not we're creating from love and joy, not from fear. We're going out of the fear-based kind of thing, manipulative thing, and we're going into following our desires. So I said to my father that you will never ever understand, but I really, really just need you to trust that I know what I need and that this is the worth and value for me. And I don't expect you to agree or understand it. And I really don't want to be held in any form of ownership, like, or that he needs because if you lend it to me, it's my money and I do what I want with it. And it was such a powerful, like the communication we had around it.
Yeah.
And it totally healed some money issues and like things that we had. And yeah, it's just, you cannot value this healing work and the journey of finding and becoming who you truly are in money. It's not possible. It's so worth it. I would do it all again.
I know. Well, because you see a lot of people that are addicted to trying free courses and free things or buying low ticket items that they're
Yeah.
not really realizing how life-changing it is when you take a leap and you really, really invest.
Yeah.
And I mean,
You,
it's normal to have the fears. You want to speak to
yeah,
like the
but you
fears.
take responsibility in
Yeah.
another level. You take charge. You make a conscious choice, and you kind of you align to something in yourself when you actually do that instead of yeah going around on the free courses, not really investing your time or energy in it.
Right. And I think it's important to also say, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, it's like sometimes we will invest in things too, and we might not get the outcomes that we expected, but we get exactly what we needed, and we have to learn that we did get exactly what we needed. I've had that happen to me where okay, you want to share? Because I don't want to talk about me. Everybody knows my stories. I rant about this stuff all the time. Go
I
ahead.
really learned to tap into my own intuition and know that it can change because I was so like I saw something that I really wanted to join and it was above my price point and I sort of, are you doing this again? And she said, yes, I will do it again in the autumn. And I started saving, and I started saving. And I was so like fixed in my head that this was the right thing for me. It was in that April. But when I came to August, September, and I signed up, I have earned the money and I signed up, but I didn't tap into that woman's energy again. And she had changed. The program had changed. I had changed. It was nothing that could have been for me in April. And she was sort of finished with the container. She had an abortion. Everything was just like flopping. And I had used all that saving and money. And I was like, did I sign up for this? And then I got the teaching. The learning was, I didn't check. I didn't go in and really feel if this is like, we change all the time. What something is right in one month, it doesn't have to be right the next. It's not right, maybe it becomes right.
Right.
It's always like it's here and now. Transformation happens here and now, not in the past and not in the future, here and now. And that's why we put everything in the drawer and we live in the unknown and we trust our intuition and our gut feeling or whatever we have to kind
Yeah.
of guide us. Yeah.
It's true. A lot can shift for me. Like if I don't act when I get that hit, like I sit with it, and if it's a yes and I'm not moving forward out of fear, it's going to close. The portal's going to close. And then I'm not going to get the same value as if I was supposed to leap and I had to trust myself. So for me, I know when it opens and like I
Mm.
keep hearing that just leap, even if it doesn't make sense, I have to because that's my next level. And then, like you said, that person that maybe I hired or whatever, they change. And this is my time period with them because I'm most aligned with them right now. And
Yeah.
it's going to shift. So that is so important. to say, because sometimes we gravel with how much it is, what's going to happen, is it going to work? But if we're getting that intuitive hit, regardless of the outcome, whatever happens, it was meant for us. Even if it's not our ideal outcome, it was exactly what we needed.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think this is a wrap. This was an amazing podcast. It was so great to have you on. A true honor to co-create and weave and share your medicine. And you guys really check her out for her human design and Akashic readings. Amazing. And watch this podcast, subscribe, like, share with your friends, and give Gru a follow on Instagram. I'll have everything in the show notes of where you can find her. And if you're interested in the Pearl Journey, she has spots open for that now. So definitely check it out. Thank you so much.